Good evening, everybody. So, as Eduardo mentioned, we're talking about chapter 4. No one can see the kingdom of God unless he's born again. So, of course, even within the Christians' religions, you're going to see a lot of different interpretations when it comes to this passage here. So, some people, they believe in reincarnation. Some people believe in resurrection. Some people believe in that after the body dies, that's the end of it. That's all it is. So we're gonna talk a little bit here, keeping in mind the spiritist point of view. So I'm gonna start with 3 passages here from the Gospel. So the first one here, when Jesus came to the region of Caesarea Philippi, he asked his disciples, "Who do people say the Son of Man is?" They reply, "Some say John the Baptist, others say Elijah, and others say Jeremiah, or one of the prophets." "But what about you?" he asked. Who do you say I am?" Simon Peter answered, "You are the Messiah, the Son of the living God." Jesus replied, "Blessed are you, Simon, son of Jonah, for this is not revealed to you by flesh and blood, but by my Father in heaven." So let's go to the second one here. Now Herod, the tetrarch, heard about all the things that was going on, and he perplexed because some were saying that John had been raised from the dead, others that Elijah had appeared, and still others that one of the prophets of long ago had come back to life. But Herod said, "I beheaded John. Who then is I hear such things about?" And he tried to see him. And the last one here is, the disciples asked him, "Why then do the teachers of the law say that Elijah must come first?" Jesus replied, "To be sure, Elijah comes and will restore all things. But I tell you, Elijah has already come, and they did not recognize him, but have done to him everything they wished. In the same way, the Son of Man is going to suffer at their hands." Then the disciples understood that he was talking about John the Baptist. So all those 3 passages there, we're talking about reincarnation, right? And now we're going to go a little bit deeper in talking about reincarnation and resurrection. So resurrection was always a part of Jewish beliefs. Resurrection now. Resurrection was always part of Jesus' beliefs, Jewish beliefs, but it was thought using the term resurrection, right? So reincarnation was there, but it was the resurrection that they were talking about. So among the Jewish, only the Sadducees believed that everything ended with death. And they rejected, even then they reject the idea of resurrection, right? So for them, after death, that's it. There is nothing else. And they already had an idea about the soul, but the idea about the soul and the connection to the body was incomplete back then, right? Of course, they were not ready to. Most of the people back there, they were not ready to understand what Jesus was teaching them, right? So, if we take a step back and see, well, what is the difference between reincarnation and resurrection? So, resurrection assumes that life returns to a dead body, a concept that science has demonstrated it's impossible, especially after the body has decomposed and its elements have been reabsorbed by nature, right? So it is, I mean, how is that possible that a spirit would go back to a body that doesn't exist anymore, right? A physical body that is not there anymore. In reincarnation refers to the return of the soul or spirit to a physical life in another body that has been newly formed for it, right? So it's a brand new body that was created for that soul or that spirit. So that's pretty much the difference between both terms. So on the gospel, strictly speaking in the Bible, only Lazarus was resurrected. The word doesn't apply to Elijah or to the other prophets. And then this is a picture from I got it from I don't remember the website now, but it's the one painting that is trying to show how was when Jesus opened the cave and asked Lazarus to show up. And then, even back then, the Jews, they believed that John the Baptist was Elijah. That was a prophet before him, right? But the body of John couldn't be Elijah's body because they knew John when he was a child, right? They knew John's parents, so they saw him growing up to an adult. So here we have the first picture here on your left is from Elijah. It's a painting from Elijah, and the second one there, it's a painting from John the Baptist. Okay, so here we have another passage here. Since this topic on the gospel is kind of short, I think we're going to end up leaving a few minutes earlier. So let me just go through this one here. How can someone be born when they're old? Nicodemus asked. Nicodemus was, I think he was a very high up on the Jew hierarchy, and even him back then, with all the study that he's done, all the readings that he's done, he didn't understand this concept, right? Surely they cannot enter a second time into their mother's womb to be born. And then Jesus answered, very truly I tell you, no one can enter the kingdom of God unless they are born of water and the Spirit. Flesh gives birth to flesh, but Spirit gives birth to spirit. You should not be surprised at my saying, you must be born again. The wind blows wherever it pleases. You heard its sounds, but you cannot tell where it comes from or where it's going. So it's with everyone born of the spirits. And then it continues here. How can this be? Nicodemus asked. And then Jesus replied, you are Israel's teacher, said Jesus, and do you not understand these things? Very truly I tell you, we speak of what we know, and we testify of what we have seen. But still you people do not accept our testimony. I have spoken to you of earthly things, and you do not believe me. How then would you believe if I speak of heavenly things? So even then, for a person that had a lot of instructions back there, it was the Israel's teachers. He was like very, very high up there, and he couldn't get this precept, even though they knew that John the Baptist is the reincarnation of Elijah. They were not able to understand that. So imagine how hard it would be. So the idea that John the Baptist had been Elijah and that the prophets will live again on earth can be found in many Testament passages, but its most notable mentioned in this extract. From the days of John the Baptist until now, the kingdom of heaven has been subject to violence, and violent people have been raiding it. For all the prophets and the law prophesied until John, and if you are willing to accept it, he is the Elijah who was to come. Whoever has ears, let them here. So this here, there is no room to question, right? It's pretty clear that he is talking about John the Baptist being the reincarnation of Elijah, right? So this passage from Matthew leaves no room for ambiguity, right? Jesus then added, "Whoever has ears, let him hear." These are words he frequently used to remind us that not everyone was in condition to understand certain truths. Imagine 2,000 years ago, it was tough for them, but if you think about it, there are a lot of other religions that they still don't understand this precept, or they take a different point of view, right? So imagine how much we still have to study those teachings, and maybe we still have questions that Jesus taught us 2,000 years ago, and we still don't get it, right? So one of the questions on the Gospel according to Spiritism was about the reincarnation, and if the reincarnation would strengthen family ties or it would break them. Because if you think about it, some people that don't get the idea pretty well, they might think, okay, but if I'm reincarnating, I don't know how many times, right? I had several fathers, I have several wives, I had several children. So how is it going to be? It's going to be a mess back then when I come back to the spiritual life, right? How is that possible? No, it's not like that. So in the spirit words, in the spiritual world, spirits form groups of families that are bound together by affection, feelings of empathy, and similar interests and ideas. So those who are free watch over who are in flesh. Those more advanced do everything they can to help the less advanced in progress. So if you think about it, it's going to be pretty much a group of people, right? And of course, you're going to get people entering the group, people leaving according to their progress, right? But it's going to be pretty much a group of people reincarnating together. Later, I think the next slide we're going to talk about other spirits coming into the same group. But that's pretty much the idea, right? You're going to have family ties. It doesn't matter if the person was back then your son or it was your father. There is nothing to do with the blood ties. It's all about the affection, right? So, in certain families, God lets spirits who are uncongenial or strange to each other reincarnate together, with a dual purpose of serving as a test for some members of the family and as means of progress for the others. In this way, less enlightened spirits have a chance to improve themselves by living among higher-minded ones and benefiting from the affectionate care they receive. So imagine a blessing if we could get inserted in a family that all the beings that are part of that family, they are higher up on the evolutionary path, right? Imagine how good it would be for us to be able to enjoy their daily lives, and imagine how much we would be able to learn, not only by their stuff that they were going to teach us, but just by the way that they live, right? Just by their action, by their examples. So it can happen the opposite too, right? That to help the family, right? To help with trials. And when we talk about reincarnation, right? We have to understand that reincarnation is not something that because we understand that here on Earth, it's a very small, a very short period of time that you're gonna stay, right? Most of the time we are on the spiritual world. But if you think about the why are we here on Earth, right? Why we are here on this place where we need a physical body and everything is so hard. We have so many issues, so lots of hardships, and why are we here? So if you think about the real meaning why we are here to learn. We are here to evolve, right? And how are we going to evolve, right? How are we going to become better people? So the whole idea about it, the whole idea behind it, is the self self transformation, right? Inner transformation. So for everybody that stays here, the idea is that we're gonna have the opportunity to be here and become better people, right? Living with the people that we are living together, right? Oops. So incarnation is in reality a transitional state of all spirits. It's an opportunity granted to them so they can exercise their free will. Those who excel in early experiences progress faster and more easily and can quickly reap the fruits of their work. By contrast, the spirits who make bad use of their freedom delay their progress and, depending on how stubborn they are, might prolong the need for reincarnation indefinitely, in which case reincarnation does indeed become a punishment. On this passage here on the Gospel, they were asking if reincarnation is a blessing or a punishment, right? It depends on how you take it, right? You have your free will. You do whatever you can or whatever you want, right? If you want to try to live by Jesus' teachings, by all the teachings that we get from the Gospel, all the good information that we get from the lighted spirits, it's your choice. It's up to you, right? You don't have to. God give us the free will, and that's it, right? It's your choice. Of course, you have to understand that every action has a consequence, right? You're not gonna be able to have a fruitful existence if you don't take good choices. You're not gonna be able to enjoy good things in your next life if you are just doing wrong choices down here, right? But that's pretty much the message that I have to pass here. Do we have any questions? Do we have to open any question about reincarnation or maybe resurrections? No. Good. When we talk about the gospel here.
There is another passage in the Gospel. Depends on interpretation. But another passage that is talk about reincarnation is when the woman would be stoned to death. So when she opened her eyes and he asked the woman, where are your the people that was judging her, right? And then she said, they all went away. Oh, they did not consider you guilty. So, and then he tells her, neither am I.
Mm-hmm.
That means because the passage there is for who doesn't have a sin or never sin thrown for stone, right?
Yeah.
And then that, the way he answered, then he would not throw the stone either, because in the past he also saying, because Jesus was like us.
He was
Yeah.
created like us.
Yes, and that is one I know. In the way he came in was very special, but he was in flesh again. Special way, different way, not like me and you, but still in flesh.
Mm-hmm.
So in there, that you can interpret that as
I
reincarnation
never
too.
looked at this way in this
Yeah.
message.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah.
Because he says neither will am I.
Yeah. Yeah.
That means he implied that he also had done something.
Yeah.
The resurrection is interesting when you study about it, because it happened. But what happened was that Jesus, he didn't came back to his body. He made him touchable for people. But he didn't come to the body as people think. He just
Materialized, yes, I
materialized it so
understand.
people could touch him. And that's why we have this idea of resurrection. But it's as what we believe in spiritism that happened.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, that's okay.
I can just say that in the context of the situation, the other didn't punish the lady because they look inside themselves and they see they were not, they could not do that because they were sinner too, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the way Jesus answered. So it's a different way to look at that.
Yeah.
concept.
Yeah, and we talk about, of course, when he had the gospel, when it was written by all the disciples. So if you think about how many different interpretations we have, it varies a lot. But at the core of all the religions, you get the same. That is love. That is that you have become a better person. That you have to do charity. So the core is still the same. It doesn't matter what religion it is, right? And that's the most important part, right? There is no bad religion, right? It doesn't matter what religion you belong to, what do you follow. The important piece is that you are trying to get to be a better person, right? It doesn't matter how do you, what are your beliefs, right? The most important piece that we have to understand is that we are here to become better people, right? And of course, when we get better, everybody around us, the whole world will become a better place for us to live, right? And the Spiritism, it tries to help us to understand a little bit different the way that we see our spiritual life, right? And that's something that we believe that help us to evolve a little bit faster, right? Or help us to understand that, okay, we have our free will, right? But we have consequences as well, right? So that is it's another point of view that I like very much. Right? Good. So thank you very much.